Hello everyone. Our today's topic is related to microarchitecture of the computer. So we are going to discuss about the different instruction set architectures which we have in our computers. So in this architecture, what we have, first of all, we have instruction set architecture. Then we come to the microarchitecture, which is on the instruction level. Then there we have registers and counters, and then we have combinational and sequential circuits. So as you move from instruction set architecture to microarchitecture, you get more details about the implementation. Similarly, when you move from microarchitecture to registers or counters, you get more in detail. So similar, when you move to the combinational circuit levels, you get more detail. So when you move in the upper direction, you will get it abstracted, like the information how the sequential circuits are actually executing an instruction is hidden from the user. So that is the abstraction, which means you don't know that how it is being executed by your computer. So all the different computers have different implementation. Like if we talk about the Intel system, so Intel is having its own implementation, whereas AMD is having its own implementation. Okay, so the micro architecture level is just below the instruction set architecture, which means that there will be a set of instructions. Like we are having some instructions, and those instructions which we have are going to get executed. Okay, and your underlying devices, like if you have the computer like with Intel or some other provider, so they are going to execute it, and what they are going to execute depends upon what type of instruction is executed by your computer. So AMD will be having a different instruction set architecture, whereas the Intel will be having a different instruction set architecture. So there are different instruction architectures, even though even those instructions are going to perform the same task. So it simply depends upon what type of instruction we have. Like if you are executing something on AMD, you will be having a different type of processing behind it. Whereas if you are executing it in Intel, it will be having a separate type of instructions which are going to get executed. So that is what we have in the microarchitecture. Now, this was the microarchitecture. Now, the next unit, this one thing which want to make clear to you. This unit is all about your general awareness about the subject, not about the subject, about the devices which you are having. So, any question which you get from this will be mostly related to the latest technology which is there. So, we are going to discuss about them. What is a graphical processing unit? So, some of you might be aware about it if you play games. So, you might be aware what are the different latest graphical processing units which you have, and what are the different cooling systems which you use, what is the latest processor, like whether it is Intel i9 or Intel i9 Tiger Lake. So there are number of technologies which keep on changing like every day. So there is no definite answer for a particular thing. Like if I tell you that today in at this time Tiger Lake is the latest processor, so it might change when you are going to give your exam. So you need to be aware what you are going to write in your exam. So it should be latest. Don't write like it might be you are writing i9 or i11, but it should be existing one which is already, you can say, in existence. Don't write any imaginary values, but it might be fine that even if you write i9 10th generation, you don't write Tiger Lake processor. It is fine, no problem. But if you are writing dual core or core 2 duo, that is definitely wrong. So if someone asks you about the latest processor, it might be near to that, but it can't be like a dual core or core 2 duo or i3 first gen, second gen. That is not the sufficient answer. It should be related to like if 10th generation is going on, so you should write about the 10th generation. Okay. Now the now let us talk about the graphical processing unit. Now, most of the people, like right now, when we talk about the laptops or anything, they are more towards the graphical intensity. Like people are more inclined toward gaming. They are now using laptops for gaming instead of using it for productivity or using it for office use. Now laptops are more used to play games. So with the advent of games like PUBG and all other games which we are having, so people are more inclined towards this part. So there is one company, I think, which is AMD. So AMD is the one which is leading in this particular sector or in this segment. So AMD is the one which has developed number of graphical processing units. Like there is another like Nvidia. So there are some other companies as well, but AMD was always a leader in this thing. But when we talk about the CPU, in CPU, Intel was working fine. Intel was having great processors with them. Their generations i3, i5, i7 were there, but now they are AMD has in back is back in the game with their Ryzen processor. So Ryzen is it is a type of processor which is having a dedicated memory for their graphical graphics, and it generally supports the graphic intensive games more easily as compared to Intel. Intel will require some additional graphical processing units, whereas Ryzen can work on its own, but you might need to have a GPU to make it to get more better output for that. But still, AMD is considered better as compared to the i7 processor for gaming. But for normal purpose, Intel is fine. Intel i7 10th generation, and now there are some news that i11, I am like i9 generation 11 with the Tiger Lake. So that is also getting rolled out. Those processors are going to get rolled out through certain devices. So they are in the process of manufacturing them. So they will be uh, these are the latest processors till now. But whenever you are in your exam, you can read about them, which is the latest processor right now. So according to that, you can decide. So you are having main competitors are AMD and Intel. The third one is Apple. So they have their own chips. Actually, if you talk about uh, their MacBooks and all other stuff, they are using Intel processors in that. If we talk about their mobile phones, then they are using their Bionic chips. Whereas if we talk about the mobile processor like RISC architecture, then in your uh, Snapdragon is there. There's MediaTek. MediaTek is working with its Halois series, and now they might have introduced something new. But on the other end, the Snapdragon is working with 865 or 875. They keep on upgrading with every phone. Like the first devices which they release with any of the manufacturer are, I think, one of them is OnePlus, with which they launch their new devices, new processors. So you can check it on that which processor is the latest one, because in few days after this they are going to launch a new device as well. So the processors will keep on upgrading, so you can't have a definite answer. Even if I tell you this is the latest, don't rely on it. Please search by your own. Now, next is what is the need of GPU? GPU is for graphic intensive applications, like there is something as FPS, frames per second. Okay, how many frames are refreshing in 1 second? So if you want to have higher FPS, your processor is not capable of performing that, because your processor is also busy in performing other tasks like keeping your CPU working, and there are certain other tasks related to it like managing the memory and performing the computation. So there are a number of things which are involved in it. So CPU might not be able to handle all the graphic intensive tasks. So that is why we need a dedicated processor to perform the graphical task. So that is known as GPU. So its main task is to process the graphics only. So that is what we have in GPU. And if you are aware about it, in recent times when bitcoins were there, people used GPUs to get the bitcoins to mine the bitcoins. GPUs were used very widely at that time because GPUs are able to perform that task very fast. So you need to have a dedicated memory for a GPU. Okay. So there is a specific amount of memory which is reserved for the graphics, and you can integrate those graphics with your. If you are working on a desktop, you can have it directly connected with your motherboard by using these slots. In your computer laptops, you get it, especially by mentioning it that you are having a graphic card or not in your system. You will get that information. Where if that is in the case of your Intel is also having a integrated kind of GPUs in which it is also integrated. The GPU is directly integrated. That is a kind of integrated graphics. In the case of i5 or i7, you can get that is developed by Intel. But if you want to use it for editing purpose or for Photoshop or some other graphic intensive tasks, then you need to have a dedicated graphic card present in your computer. So this is what we have in GPU. So you can search about it, you can read about them, what it does, how it performs the task. So there is a certain thing related to it. So there are two type of graphic cards which we have, as we discussed, that there is a integrated GPU which is directly in the CPU. Related to CPU, it shares the memory with the CPU. So Intel HD integrated graphics are there if you talk about Intel. Then we have discrete. In discrete, there is a dedicated memory for graphics, and generally these are different devices from CPU. CPU is on a separate place and GPU is at a separate place. So GPU is only performing a graphic intensive task, and there is a dedicated memory for GPU. So you might have 2 GB graphic card, you might have 4 GB, 6 GB. So it depends upon your intensity of use, what kind of applications you want to run on your computers. So that enables you to search for different type of graphic intensive, you can say, cards. So what type of card you are going to use, like whether it is 2 GB or something like that, it depends upon your utilization of the device. So if you are going to do your daily task, you don't need to have a discrete GPU. Your integrated graphic will work fine. But if you want to run games and you want to run the editing softwares, whether it is a photo editing or video editing software, then definitely you need to have a discrete graphic card available on your computer. Now, after this, the next type of processors which we are going to talk about, they are related to handheld devices, which are your mobile phones and all. So in this class, I think we don't need laptop, the board much. So in ARM processors, they are generally fast. We have discussed about RISC processors. So RISC is a reduced instruction set computer. We discussed about that, in which we are having very few number of uh, what we call very few uh, instructions which can access the memory. So we discussed about that. So in ARM processors, there are very less number of addressing modes, like two, direct and indirect only. So there might be 32-bit, there might be 64-bit. Generally now we are using a 64-bit architecture in all of them. So let me just back to it. Okay. So they are very high performance performing CPUs. So we call them like if we want to measure their speed, we may measure it in MIPS, that is million of instructions per minute, per second. How many instructions does it execute? So all the unnecessary instructions which were there in your CISC system, CISC is your CPU system, or a more complex system which we have. So all the instructions which we barely use in that, we stripped them out. They were no longer required. So they left it. And with the remaining one, they produced a new type of processor which is known as RISC processor. And they are generally work on ARM architecture, Advanced RISC Machines. Okay, that is the full form of ARM. And you might be able to see this, that most of your processors, not most, you can say all of your processors which you are working on in your mobile phones, will be based on ARM architecture. So all the devices which we are using, whether it is your mobile phone, whether it is your smart devices, or any other processor, like any device on which RISC processor is installed, which is movable, which is wearable. So all the processors which are used on it are ARM based processors. So ARMs are very small in size, they have very less complexity, and due to these ARM processors, the overall size of your computers has reduced a lot. So now there is one another type of chips, so that is SoC, system on a chip, which means most of the things which we require, like any you can say anything, like any processing unit which you require, all the data which you need, all the controls which you need are on a single chip. So the SoC based architectures are like Qualcomm Snapdragon processors. There are SoC chips which they use like system on a single chip, and they also use the same ARM Cortex. Now they, even though if they are SoC, but still they use the ARM concept. Okay. So smartphone hardware architectures, there are different, like there are different things. We have OS, we have SoC. In this SoC, what we have, like in general, when we talk about our laptops, we have a different LAN card, we have a different WAN card for wireless, we have different input output for input output. We have a dedicated unit for that. For all the rest of the things, like for basic input output, we have different unit on it. But when we talk about SoC, in most of your SoC based architectures, like when you talk about your mobile phones, there is a single chip on which processors are doing everything, like to from taking the calls to playing a game, or to you can say to play a YouTube video or anything whatsoever you do. All the things which are required to perform the tasks are on a single chip. Like you don't have any different wireless LAN module with your computer in your mobile phone. You don't have any dedicated different you can say thing for input output. Okay, you don't have anything to make calls. So everything is done on a single chip. Everything is executed on a single chip. That is why these are known as SoC devices. System on a chip. Like everything whatsoever you require is on a single chip. Okay. So application processor executing user application software instructions from middleware and the operating system. A baseband processor with its own OS components performing base radio transmission on reception of audio, video, and data, various peripherals on the device. So everything is done on a single chip. So these are just few of the tasks. So there are a number of others. So this is just a simple architecture of a basic smartphone. Like what we have, there is a cellular RF transceiver, which means this is used for performing all the calls and everything. We have a cellular baseband. There is a different RAM and ROM chip for this. This is for SIM card. For application processor, we are having LCD screen and SD card if we need something. For Bluetooth, WAN, GPS, for power supply, we have all this on a single place. Okay, so this is what we have in a basic architecture of a processor. So let me just show you some other architectures as well. Just wait. Okay. So in this, I'm just sharing a small glimpse of 855 and 865. So you can check that everything whatsoever you are doing, like if it is a 865 or 855, everything is on a single chip. So whether it is there is a ISP instructions, for instructions they have a GPU, they have a hexagon processor. For security they have a separate processor. Cairo is there, sensing hub is there. So there are different things which we have, but every processor is having each and everything, like whatsoever it requires for performing anything like calling, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, streaming, everything is on a single chip. That is why it is known as SoC, system on a chip. Okay, so this is why it is known as SoC. So you might have seen the different things in it. What is ARM Cortex? How they work? So there are different things in it, how it works. Like in this, they have shown that the Qualcomm Spectra 480 is there, Adreno is there, Hexagon is there, memory is there. So there is everything which you require to run a mobile, and each and everything is on a single chip. Like, just imagine it in this way: if your one processor is gone, everything is gone. Like, it will not work on Wi-Fi, it will not work on anything. It will not be able to perform anything if its processor is gone. So that is why it is very important to have a good processor on your mobile phones. But whereas in your laptops or in your desktops even, so you can change the processor. Even if your processor is not working, rest of the devices still work. But when we talk about mobile phones, they don't. You can't make a mobile work if its processor is gone. But if in your desktop, if your processor is not working, still you can do the task by simply changing that processor. Okay. So there are some images, like what are these, what are the different parts on it. Like, this is a 4G modem. There is a GPU which is integrated at that place as well. This is a GPU on a 865. So this is a DSU and CPU to perform all the CPU related tasks. This is a 5G modem. Then this is an NPU. So there are different type of devices which we have on a single chip. So due to this reason, it is known as a single chip system. Okay. So thank you everyone. With this, I think most of your topics are covered. If we are having anything, so we will discuss it and complete our syllabus.